Hey everyone, welcome back to another Build It or Bench It video. It's been a while since I did this series, but it's finally time when I have time to actually do them. So let's go over the three Valiantors today, which is going to be Tamis, Atropos and Marlena. A fairly interesting trio of the heroes, I must say, and they're quite decent to talk about, so let's go. First off, let's start with the beginners, newbies, or however you call it, the unparalleled DPS unit, the Tamis. So Tamis is mostly known for being the newbies Hail Mary hero. She's the first hero you get summoned by the game. She's the first hero that the game offers you for $1. And by the way, that $1 is worthy for her in my opinion, because she will snowball your early game enough to be basically make that dollar be worthy. And apart from that, she will also give you the summons. So let's start with the Tamis. Tamis has a pretty niche kit and she's a really very interesting hero. She's basically a snowballer that can't be stopped in the early game, but due to the most recent power creeps, she actually is not as strong as she used to be in the early game. So basically she's a hero that will cast her skill, and upon killing an enemy she will cast the skill again. So she's basically a killing machine, or rather a snowball machine. She's exceptional in the early game because Valiantors in the early game are pretty good because of the damage reduction, because of the physical damage dealt increase by 150%. So in the early game you usually want to run 4 to 5 Valiantors or 4 Valiantors with a physical damage dealing hero. Apart from that, her other passives are really okay for the early game. They're not amazing, but she really does just basically is a newbie killer, or rather a early game slayer. Apart from that, does she have a spot in the late game? Well, in this season, yes. Because in this season you have Arcanists, which are the strongest seasonal synergy in my opinion. There's a lot of heroes, Arcanists, that are in here. And basically, if you do not have better heroes for your, let's say, 9th to 10th tournament or World Arena team, you can actually just run Arcanist. You can also pair her with Christine or any other hero, and you can have a decent Arcanist. Arcanist synergy on its own is pretty good. The issues with Tamis is she's an assassin in a way, or rather she's a warrior in the game, but she's really slow. She basically has to wait for all the heroes to deal, or rather do their actions, survive that, do not get CC'd, and then do her own action. So is she a build-it or bench-it hero? She's a mixture of both, but more leaning towards bench-it. So in the early game you will definitely want to get any free Tamis you get. Do not prioritize her. If the game offers you, pick her up if there's no better options. But keep in mind that you will drop her really soon because she doesn't have a future. Her synergies are overall great. Protectors are pretty decent, but not really shining up until the late game, or rather in the big investments. Valiantors are pretty great, and Downbringer is really nice in the early game. It will help you a lot with Atropos. So she's a benched hero, but she's in the early game builded hero, and just keep in mind she falls off and you will bench her unless you need her for the last few teams in the World Arena or tournament. So that's pretty much for Themis. As for her runes, you will not prioritize her runes at all, but they're not all that terrible. But again, she's a hero that falls off and you will not prioritize her rune. You will run DPS in the early game if you can get it, and that's about it for the Tamis. Next hero on the list is going to be Marlena. Marlena is an amazing hero that is both great in the early game, in the mid game, and as well in the late game with her exclusive runes. So she's a hero that's not particularly shining because of her active skills, but she's in the late game shining because of her legendary runes. So at the start of the round, deals damage to the enemy with the lowest HP percentage equal to 10% of Marlena's max HP. In seasonal content you can get a lot of max HP, so her damage is actually great. And it has 100% chance to apply mark effect for one round. Then at the start of the round there's 50% chance to deal damage to 2 random enemies equal to 20% of Marlena's max HP and apply pessimism. So these effects are really amazing at her legendary runes, so she's a pretty good filler, but especially, as I said, because of her legendary runes. You will want healing runes because you want to make her live as long as possible, or you want the dodge runes. Either is fine, so basically just healing or dodge runes on her will do the job. But apart from that, she's a phantom. Phantoms are really amazing in the late game PvP, they basically refuse to die, which also helps her proc her legendary runes even further. Apart from that, she's a Downbringer. You will not use her a lot in the Downbringer trials because there's better heroes such as Atropos, such as Katrina for the sustain, or Diachan for better buffs, or Albert even, Dorabella for the damage, and etc. So as for Downbringers, you will not be using her, maybe in the very early game, because she's a really strong hero in the early game. Her damage is quite good and she applies mark, and basically mark units will be attacked first, but it's quite limited. They didn't expand on this ability further, so it's pretty outdated. And as again, she's Arcanist. Arcanists, as I mentioned, are one of the strongest seasonal synergies in a while, so you will be definitely using Marlena in your tournament and World Arena teams. Another big selling part of Marlena is her Healing Rapture. Healing Rapture is a niche effect that really works even in the Rift Odyssey and has been used a lot, especially with Marlena, because she's the only one that can reliably apply it and is cheap. So this Healing Rapture was used in a lot of Rift Odysseys where bosses would just heal and she would basically negate that, and this way just basically help you clear it. Apart from that, the other effects are not as cool, but yeah, these two are her main selling points, so the Healing Rapture and her legendary runes, as well as her synergies. So is she a benched hero? Definitely not. She's not a hero that you will be constantly picking from the selectors, but she's also not a hero that you will have up on the bench a lot. In the PvE, sure, but in the PvP, she's an amazing hero and you will be using her for a while, because I don't think she's getting replaced anytime soon. And yeah, that's about it about her pretty much. So her PvE is lackluster, if not in the early game, but her PvP in the late to mid game is pretty amazing. And yeah, that's about it for the Marlena. And lastly, we have Atropos, the best EV hero in the game, or rather was for a very long time. So Atropos is the best buffer in the game by far. Especially when it comes to EV, no other hero comes close apart from perhaps Dio-chan, but that's with her legendary runes. So Atropos uses Divine Light to apply Watcher's Pledge on all allies and increase their attack by 40% of Atropos' attack. Now what does this indicate? That indicates that you will want Atropos to have attack runes. Don't follow the game. The dodge runes are absolute troll on her. Run the attack runes to increase her attack even further, so her pledge buff is even stronger. So as you can see, I run them on DPS, and on top of that you can also roll for her rune stat. Don't worry about unique or supreme, that's absolutely not needed. Supreme does increase more attack, that's for sure, but it's not really needed. So you can roll her rune stats to increase the pledge effects even further or increase her attack. Both work, the effect is pretty much similar. I have tested all three versions, so just whichever you get, take it, so her pledge is even stronger. So apart from that, her skills are amazing. She's the best EV buffer in the game by far, and a lot of people are unaware, but Watcher's Pledge, despite saying it doesn't stack, the way you can use Atropos and Cleopatra, for example, is one will increase the other's attack, and that second caster, let's say Atropos casts first, she increases the attack of Cleopatra, and then Cleopatra will increase the attack of other allies, basically override the Atropos Pledge with her own, which is going to be increased because Atropos increased the attack of Cleopatra, and then Cleopatra increased the attack of all allies even further. You can also use Astrid to triple that. You can use a lot of other ways to basically multi the pledge and have a lot of pledge attack increase to your allies. Her second skill is basically whatever the first skill is. It's just not to all allies, it's just to 3 allies. So yeah, that's about it. A lot of people say this prayer is a lot stronger than the active skill, and it might be because the 40% doesn't get split. Maybe the 40% in here gets split, but I'm not really sure how that works. But yeah, it's basically another pledge. So her Eternal Oath increases her damage reduction by 30, that's fine. And then you have when ally kills enemy, Atropos restores the ally team's HP by 50%. Now this is pretty cool, but nothing really important. Another thing I wanted to mention is her Light Seeker. So when you go to Awaken, you will notice that she gets healing on her tier 2 Awakening, which is a priority in the seasonal content because you want her to be healing to convert the heals into attack from the Hunter's Hope Tree. And yeah, that's about it for the Atropos. Her PvP does become a lot worse in a late game. She is no longer used in PvP, she hasn't been used in PvP for a very long time. So you will not be using or seeing Atropos in PvP for a long time in the mid plus game. She's just PvE queen and she will forever be in the PvE department because of the pledge. Her speed is really solid, her speed still stands really nice with the current game, and yeah, that's really about it. So keep in mind, you will definitely want to build her. She's not a hero you will have benched like in a long time. Another way that you can use Atropos is Victoria. That's a famous combo because Victoria increases the base attack of all allies, which will further increase the pledge from the Atropos. So yeah, that's about it really. Her runes are not the top priority, but I would say get her epics just at the bare minimum. Once you have some extras or you get it dropped like 2, so you have to finish the other 2, and yeah, just basically play around it. Not a highest priority, but definitely helps in the long run. And yeah, that's about it for the current Build It or Bench It series. So Tamis build in the early game, bench in the mid to late game unless you don't have another hero you can use in PvP. Marlena is definitely a PvP hero, not much of a PvE hero, but definitely won't be benched in the PvP. And the Atropos quite the opposite, she's the PvE hero, but definitely will be benched in the PvP later. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully this series will continue and see you in the next one.